So, Contemporary Sculpture Fulmer, we wanted it to be a space and a resource for sculptors and artists to come and experiment and play and try new things. So as well as exhibiting finished artworks, we were very keen with the idea of artists using this as an active space.
I'm somebody that's quite attached to nature as a space. But there's a couple of things that come together here really well. One is the architecture, so this kind of construction that allows itself for facilitation, workshop, dialogue, but is also incredibly beautiful, aesthetically thought out. It creates a really generous invitation. You want to be in this space, you want to engage, you want to learn in this space. Also the way the space is outward facing and you're surrounded by green and nature and quite a beautiful estate that is holding pieces of kind of more traditional sense of public art, so these kind of really structured large sculptures. But either way, they're symbolic triggers that art is in this natural setting. So you feel like this social practice sculpture, this to me is the most important sculpture in this entire park. And to be in this sculpture, speaking and creating, feels like I now have become a living active participant in the art making that's happening in this sculpture park, and that feels really like an honor.
The exhibitions that we curate are all around place largely, so to have a different site with such a kind of specific architecture and philosophy behind it was, a really interesting proposal for us. We had a fantastic day when we went down for install. The weather was gorgeous, the sun was shining. So to be in that environment felt really, really special. And it stretched us to think outside the box of what we can do within our own space. We worked with a charity called Love for Life, which works with a group of vulnerable young girls. And then we also had a public play day as well. So there were multiple outputs. It kind of sharpened what we could do in terms of our education programme and gave us some dreams for the future of that as well.
What I really liked about the idea of this project was that it could be like a form that was in flux, that people could come and go and like trickle in like through the open day or through the workshops and like play about with what they see and like kind of make decisions on what they think should be there or is missing. I think it's really interesting trying to make a composition with a group of people and to see things through other people's eyes and like make collective decisions together. And I think it's really interesting to see what other people do with the material. So like by using lots of things like pipe and cardboard, paper mache, foam, string, it's just really interesting to see what people want to do with them and how they want to like respond to a space.
It was fun because it was like lots of like different objects there, so you could add your own thing with it.
I think it's been really valuable to see how things can change and have multiple possibilities and to have a space that like lets that be realised. Lots of sculptures have to be quite permanent and weather resistant and things like that, but to still be playing with like a similar like interest in balance and materiality, but in a space that's like a bit more sheltered, that can have a bit more playfulness about it. A lot of like these very kind of like fragile balances like really speak with a lot of the sculptures that have kind of been made. Like I was saying, like it allows for like a discussion between this and the sculptures that are in the park. But to be able to be so like experimental with sculpture, I think is like maybe something that's missing from sculpture parks. Yeah. So to be able to have like a structure like this where people can try things out, especially like the public and other community groups, I think is really important.
The value in this weekend has been that it was completely stress-free. The running of the weekend being so open and explained to us quite early on, I think made it really inclusive. I think this held a space that was really welcoming, safe space.
We're both sort of social artists, and we're really interested in sort of taking the work that we do here in the city to other places. I guess kind of partly find out, you know, this sort of local story that we have and local experiences in this locality. How universal are they, and what are the other kind of challenges and stories that other artists working in this way had?
Yeah. I think also one of the things that we've talked about a lot in the last year is about where social artists are getting support from. Where are we being nurtured? Who has our back? Where is our support network? And knowing that actually other artists are asking those questions as well. The Potting Shed was a space to actually become that support network for each other and to actually voice some of those challenges.
And it's great, but those conversations let everybody's individual experience come through and everyone's perspective come through. Things like this are almost the core of what could make up the social art network. It is made up by instances where people come together and share.
What I found really exciting about the Potting Shed project was actually seeing these projects come in and bring the space alive in such different ways.
What I'm really hopeful for this space is that it allows experimentation for artists and people who are working with social practice to be able to come in and just be very authentic with their expression of that, and to not have to think about kind of hard outcomes, where it can just be about the process and the space for exchange and support and kind of peer support as well.
It was built on the principle that it can be anything to any people. It sort of is this kind of open form, multifaceted space. We would like to see more communities get involved in it and different communities get involved in it, and hopefully kind of welcome them into this space and share our experiences.